Hi, it's been a while. I'm glad you're here. I have some channeled messages for you. I wrote them down, and then I'm sure the whole thing is a channeled message, so you will hear more of what you need to hear. I trust that there will be messages here for you, and it is your responsibility to apply them as you will. I sat down at 11:11. Well, I didn't sit down, but I pressed start at 11:11. So that's important. Wind chimes are confirming that portal energy, that's justice energy, that's balance of divine masculine and divine feminine energy. And I wrote at the top of this channeling page, really, 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 which also came through in one of the sign readings that I may record in a few days. As I was channeling, I heard an airplane, which was actually a seaplane landing. I heard the wind chimes. So what I heard was a light breeze out of nowhere. A light breeze out of nowhere. So if you're somewhere kind of hot right now, maybe that would feel really good. That's the end of that. Okay. And then subway wind chimes poem I wrote down. So when I was in New York City in December to see some musicals with my son, there was a poem in the subway about the wind chimes and the wind, and it was a really sweet poem, and I did not memorize it, and I don't know who it's by, but you're welcome to try to find it, and maybe it has a message there for you. And then I heard, we hit the best booth at Musso and Frank's. They say I'm bad news, I just say thanks. So something about that energy of, if people are kind of hating on you, just be like, thanks. I guess I'm important enough for you to give your energy to me. And then I heard fluffing up my aura, which I think is from a Sahara Rose song, but I don't know which one. And then I wrote how, ? And so there is this process you can do that someone taught me once that was just like, go like this to fluff up your aura. But also, a way to fluff up your aura is to remove energies that are making it dense and heavy. I was hearing and dark, but I didn't feel like that was from spirit. That was like another, we have to be really careful about how we use the words dark and light, because it's wrong to say that black is evil and white is good. And I really don't think spirit likes it when we bring that into our spirituality, into our relationship with spirit, because spirit knows that the void, the black, is just as important, just as powerful as the bright, bright white light, right? And then there's something there about how the mixture of colors, of all the colors of the rainbow, are important. So you can have pastel colors, you can have fluorescent colors, you can have muted colors, you can have darker versions of colors, and they're all important. They're all beautiful. They're all part of the canvas of life. So I get a little nervous when people say love and light all the time, not just because of Game of Thrones, but also because it just, in my experience, doesn't turn out to be very real spirituality. Like, it's not grounded in courage. So it's not grounded in a place of, okay, yes, I will stand up for smaller people. Like, it is, there's a reason they call it toxic positivity, because it pretends to be so beautiful and light and fluffy, but in reality, there's no substance to it, and it lets the evil win. It lets the evil win. That's straight, direct message. That fluffy spirituality lets the evil win. So if you really want to fluff up your aura, you need to be less fluffy by standing up to energies that drag the energy of the world down. So if anyone is coming into your organization and they are or, whatever your organization is. It could be your family, it could be your friend group, it could be your classroom, it's 444, it could be literally anything, your church. If someone's coming in there as a guest and people are being unkind to them, it's your responsibility as a member of the group / a leader of the group to stand up to the people who are being unkind for the new person or the guest. That's your responsibility. And if you do not take on that responsibility, you are becoming the problem. You are becoming the problem. And I'm not saying you, but I'm saying you've probably been that person on the other end of it. You've probably been that guest or that new person in a situation, and someone comes and attacks you for no good reason, and no one stands up for you, and you have to leave. Like, that happens a lot to people who choose divine paths. If that's never happened to you, I encourage you to ask Spirit if they would give you the courage to be in that kind of a situation, to be in a situation where you get the perspective of someone who is being attacked for no reason. I know that sounds silly and crazy, but you need that perspective in order to be a good leader. So if you've never had that happen to you, that's actually not a good thing. That means Spirit doesn't really think you're ready or something like that. Maybe you're not ready for that kind of a challenge. Or maybe you're the mean person. Please don't be on my channel if you're the mean person. Or, if you are, let this help you grow. That's what I'll say. That's interesting. The energy I'm talking to is really different from where I started when I started this channel a few years ago. So that's good, actually. It means the messages are reaching people who need my messages, not just people who are already, on the divine path. Okay, I'm getting some tarot cards. The next thing on the list was Snuffleupagus versus Oscar the Grouch. That was coming through for me in April. And I looked it up and I found that the differences, so those are two Sesame Street characters in the United States, and I think Canada probably. They had this show called Sesame Street when people were kids on PBS until recently. I don't know, the last 10 years or something. And then I think it went to a different channel that you have to pay for it. And I don't even know if that's accurate because my kids were too old. I don't know. My kids never watched that show. It was more for people my age and older and younger than me. And so, but on that show were all these Muppets, and one of them was Big Bird. And Big Bird was kind of able to be friends with everybody, including Oscar the Grouch, who was like super grouchy and just always in a bad mood. And Snuffy, who is this big, my head is saying mastodon. Woolly mammoth. I guess they're similar. He's got a big trunk like an elephant. Mm-hmm. But every time either one of those characters came in, I got a little scared as a little kid. And recently, I had an encounter with someone who's been in my life for a long time, and Spirit was having me it's trash day where I am, so they were kind of having me label that person as kind of like someone who likes living in a garbage can and flinging their garbage around and making everyone have a really bad day, right? And I think Oscar has redeeming qualities. Everyone on Sesame Street did at some point. I don't remember what they are. I just remember being scared of him. But then Snuffy was like just really nervous all the time. I think he was just like scared to do anything. He was really not courageous, I guess, at the beginning. And then he had a growth trajectory. And so he started off really nervous. He was just big, right? Like he was big and stompy. And then he had this whole like aura. He had this whole like aura around him. in one of the scenes, and I do not remember, I was a little kid. He had this whole, like the camera was doing something funny is what I remember. And that was scary to me, and I don't remember why. But basically, that character is really different because he was just sad all the time and he was scared all the time. But he, with the support of Big Bird and his friends, I think, grew out of that and became like a really wholehearted, courageous type of character. Do not hold me to that, because I really didn't watch that much Sesame Street that I remember, but that's kind of what I remember, and then that's kind of what the internet said when I looked it up. And so one of them I was afraid because the vibe was like off, right? It was grumpy and mad all the time, and I as a little kid, I was just really sensitive to energy but didn't know it yet. And for whatever reason in my life, Spirit's given me all these grumpy people, like so many grumpy people. And then for a time, like I kind of became like the grumpy people, but that's not me, right? And then, okay, Spirit, that's fine. So, and then I had like this Snuffleupagus character show up in my life who was just fearful, like just scared. And I was just as scared as that person, that energy. And yet that person ended up being kind of like spirit guide for me to like once, or maybe sort of a mirror. So like once that person engaged, when that person engaged their heart and followed their heart, like they were the most inspiring person I've ever met. And when they denied their heart or they were too scared to like speak the truth, I think that showed me why I was scared of them. Because there was something, yes, and this goes back to the original message. There's something, this sounds judgmental, but I'm just saying what Spirit is telling me. There's something more damaging about presenting yourself as a highly positive person and not standing up for what's right. There's something more, yes, and I'm feeling that so strongly. There's something more damaging in that because people don't see that coming. People expect you to be supportive of them when they need a friend. And then when you're not, like that causes way more pain than the person who comes off at the beginning as grumpy and hard to deal with. Does that make sense? I think it makes sense. It makes sense in my heart. Ooh, I don't know, Spirit, about this. This is a big, bold message, so. And I know my messages can be kind of triggering. My whole existence is a bit triggering, and that's what I agreed to. So, welcome. I'm Amanda. This is Golden Swan Intuition. I'm so glad you're here. Okay, so we have this Two of Swords. So I'm getting intentional blindness. That came through in the night recently. What was it? It was something like that. Intentional blindness. Blind optimism. That's what it was. Blind optimism. And so I was going on this rabbit hole of blind optimism. And the first thing that popped up was the story of Candide. No, that's not true. I got to that eventually. Candide is by Voltaire. It's a little short story where Voltaire is totally making fun of another philosopher who is saying that this world is the best possible world. And so one of the characters in there, Pangloss, believes that, right? And then is going through like torture and just like the worst types of pain that this life can give. And then it's that guy's kind of gaslighting himself about it or gaslighting other people. Like that's what that philosophy says is like, life is great. Like, let's just ignore all the bad things and focus on the positive. And it's like, yes, you do want to have your sights on where you want to go. Absolutely. But you don't want to ignore the challenges or the problems or the people who are causing the problems, especially if you're in a position to do something about it. And it ends with something about tending your own garden, which is something about decisive daily action. Yeah. So instead of wasting our time talking about like pretending like our philosophies that our brain gives us are true, really root down into what's in front of us. Yeah, that's it. So that was what was coming through, is optimism is a really beautiful thing and hope is a really beautiful thing, but positivity that is blind is really not a beautiful thing. Choosing to only ever be positive hurts people. That's not beautiful. And you're being called to something different. You're being asked to notice, oh, so she's got this blindfold on, right? And she is holding it there. And these crows are attacking her. And she is just like, okay, I'm just going to ignore that the crows are there. Whereas if she took off the blindfold, she could just walk away or say goodbye, crows, or go away, crows, or something like that. And then she won't be in danger herself. And she can, address whatever needs to be addressed in her life. And then we have the moon, and that mermaid is not drowning, but the mermaid appears to be kind of like sinking under the water. But actually, if you look at her hand, it looks like she's doing some sort of magic under there. So you can see this person is in a dry desert. You're being asked to do the opposite. Open your eyes, take off the blindfold, really feel what you feel when you're around those people who are causing harm, and acknowledge that that is harm, and they are causing it. And harm is a type of evil. It's equivalent to evil in my book. I didn't write a book yet, but but in my mind, harm and evil are synonymous. So open your eyes, let the moon, so the moon shines in the dark, right? Like let the darkness around you light up so you can be really clear on what's happening, but you do that by sinking into the emotions you're feeling in your body. If you're pushing your emotions away, you're not connecting with your intuition. If you're saying everything's fine, that was not targeted at anybody, by the way. But if you're just saying everything's fine, you're probably ignoring something, because everything's not fine in this world. There are plenty of things to address. And it's okay to come from a rooted place where you are surrounded and supported by your guides, by spirit, by your self-confidence, by your own experiences, by your own reflections. Yeah. You want to come from that rooted place. And then I wrote next to the fluffing up my aura part, do they say on fleek? And that was not a word when I was too old by the time that was kind of a thing. And so I don't know what that meant, but I looked it up and it said something about perfection. And so if you really learn to be one with your emotions, and that's not the same as letting your emotions let you be harmful to people. That's not the same thing. But you letting yourself really sink into, how does this make me feel? Asking yourself that daily, several times a day. How did that make me feel? And then seeing that as an important guidepost. And your emotions are not just in your mind. They're not really your thoughts. It's it's actually completely different. Sometimes we'll have strong emotions, and it's a tendency that I just learned about through my own experience, that sometimes when we have strong emotions, we want to apply thoughts to them. But the thoughts and the emotions are often separate. Sometimes your thoughts can cause your emotions. Yes, absolutely. But sometimes you're just having an emotional experience, and who knows? You might just be feeling what someone else is feeling. You might be empathizing with your body, and you don't know that with your mind. That happens to me a lot. If you feel uncomfortable or triggered or angry or sad or attacked or whatever it is, and you automatically jump to making sense of it in your mind, that's where we cause harm. That's where we cause harm, because that is jumping to conclusions. That's what that is. Yeah. So what you want to do instead is just sit with that and ask questions of yourself. Do I feel angry? Do I feel angry? Why do I feel angry? And I did that recently in a yoga class where I was just like, I was so mad. I was like so pissed. And I was in that yoga class and I did not know why. And so I started going through, and guess what? I wasn't angry. I was just feeling it. I was feeling it from, who knows, the world, the next person on the yoga mat. I don't know. But the danger would have come in if I had run away with that with my mind, right? And decided, oh, well, it must be because this person is doing that thing to me. That just wasn't happening in that moment. That wasn't the reality. I wasn't mad for any good reason. I was just feeling a feeling. And sometimes that happens. And it's not someone else's fault most of the time when we're feeling a feeling. It's usually ourselves trying to guide us, or it's spirit trying to guide us. And when we learn that, when we learn to really like sink into our emotions, to be this mermaid, then we have that on fleek energy, right? Then we're like dialed in, on point, nearly perfect. I don't really think perfectionism should be the goal. There's this story about Harriet Tubman that I heard in the spring sometime. But basically, I didn't really know this, but she was the conductor on the Underground Railroad. She was leading people out of slavery to freedom, Black people in America. So it was so dangerous, right? And she was so successful, she never lost one person the whole time. And when people asked her about it later, she was like, it really wasn't me. It was spirit, 100%. Like, please don't give me credit for it. I was just following God's leadership in that. And that is the beauty of it. And it's not that she didn't face abuse. She did. There was one situation where she was, I don't know, kind of beat up and thrown into something on a train or something like that. Like, she was mistreated even though she didn't deserve it. And yet she survived. She recovered. And I promise you, she would have said it was worth it at the end of her life to face the little bits of people coming for her that she experienced, because she freed so many people. She did so much good. I think she was like a commander in the Union Army. Like, she did things other women didn't get to do, especially other Black women, because she followed Spirit's guidance. And they held her foot steady every step she took, so that even though she faced challenges and, I guess, consequences for being so bold, I mean, she's unforgettable. Spirit's calling you to that too. They're calling you into what hurts me. What in this world is causing me pain in my heart? How can I address that without hurting it, without intentionally causing harm to other people? I'm sure the slave owners would say Harriet Tubman was causing them harm, but that's false, right? I mean, I don't know. I guess you could say it's true because it did impact their finances. But the important thing was she wasn't causing collective harm. She was making the world a better place by saying, that's not okay, that's unjust, I can do something about it. And then doing it. Okay, I'm going to get a Sacred Rebels Oracle card, so appropriate. The last little message here is just relax. You've got this. Just relax. You've got this. Whatever you've been dreaming of doing for the world, you've got this, because Spirit has your back. Not because of your human, it is because you're human. Like, being human is a really beautiful thing, but it's not you on your own, right? It's not your ego running the show and making the world awesome. Your ego doesn't have that capacity. Your soul does. And your soul came here for a reason. And that reason might make you uncomfortable, and it's almost certainly going to make other people uncomfortable. And you're being called to do it anyway. And I know we hear that all the time, and there's a reason you're hearing that all the time if you are. Okay, I'm not going to read all the descriptions, but let's just look at these. This is so beautiful. Number 22, she feels, she knows. Look at that peacock feather. So that's abundance, that's Lakshmi energy. 28, collaborative dreaming. So there's something, you might be collaboratively dreaming. You probably are. Yeah. Did I start by talking about a dream? No, I didn't. I did wake up in the night thinking about blind optimism, but that wasn't a dream. That was something different. But you might be, I did, because I said yes to Spirit in the dream, right? So Spirit was asking me in that dream to collaborate, and I had the wherewithal, even while I was dreaming, to say yes. And then they just dumped all these experiences, including like massive blessings, but beyond my wildest dreams, on me. I don't know why that happened for me. Like, I wasn't really meditating that much, but I was spending a lot of time in reflection. So a little different. A lot of writing. Yeah, a lot of journaling. Okay, power of attraction. That's the number 13 card. And I'm seeing divine masculine, divine feminine energy. So you might have someone, like if you identify as divine feminine, you might have someone on the divine masculine side or vice versa supporting you invisibly at this time. Either a live human or someone in the spiritual realm, or both. Like, I'm sure you have a lot of divine masculine and feminine people supporting you, but this is more about, I started at 11:11, so this is more about a sacred union. And I'm not saying everybody has that. Maybe. I don't really know. If you aren't connecting with that, you're being called to that balance, that 11:11 energy, that justice energy, that divine balance within yourself of your masculine and feminine energies. Everyone's being called to that. Even if you have the opposite outside of you, they're not really outside of you. They're kind of part of you. But you're responsible for you. And so you're responsible for balancing your energies. And if you do have a counterpart, as you balance your energies, they balance theirs. Okay, thank you, Spirit. And then the last one is trust yourself. Didn't I say that? Just relax. You've got this. And that is reminded me of that little kid in Encanto whose gift is talking to the animals. I forgot his name, but he's the best. So let's see. So we have 13 and 31 here, by the way. And then, 22 and 28. Let me just look at the collaborative dreaming description. Your heart is big enough to dream not only for yourself, but for a new humanity. And I think that pretty much sums it up. Let me get a couple charms, and then we will go. Yep. So we have Aries energy. That is Emperor energy. That we're in Aries, an Aries moon right now. It's an Aries waning moon. It's like mostly, it's not all the way full, and it's not all the way to half. It's kind of close to third quarter, I think. We have this red butterfly. I saw an orange butterfly today, so you might see butterflies around. Red is about passion. It means a lot of things, but that's what's coming through. That red is about this passionate transformation that starts within you and then helps the whole world. Love. I saw the best sweatshirt as I was on a walk the other day. It was this guy, and it was like just a regular guy, right? And he was wearing this sweatshirt. It was a red hoodie, and it had what looked like little black conversation hearts. sort of like this. And it said, there was a letter in each one, so it was HOWs. And it said, how dare you? And it made me really happy. There's that mermaid tail, that black star and black mermaid tail. Don't be afraid of the dark. Don't be afraid of darkness. Dark does not equal evil. That's kind of a racist belief. You can let that go. Okay, I love you so much. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad to be back with you, and I hope you have a wonderful day.